from Ghana, so yeah, I'm Ghana. I'm connecting from Ghana as well. But you know that the Navigating Africa conference is not just a conference, okay? As change makers, I believe each and every one of us is a change maker. You don't have to be loud on social media in the digital space. You don't have to be loud on the traditional media to be a change maker. Whatever you do in that little corner of yours, you are a change maker. If you're touching someone's life one way or the other, you're a change maker. And so, welcome once again. You all look amazing. Elizabeth, J. Martin, Teddy, Olaniran, Baba, Fortune, Adekunle, you are all welcome. Yeah, I see you all. You all look amazing. Thank you so much for making time to connect and to be part of this amazing, amazing conference. And so, without further ado, I would love to invite OK Davids. He's the convener for this beautiful, beautiful, amazing conference to give us his short opening address, and then we'll get to continue the conference.
Hello. Please confirm you can hear me.
Hello, okay. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Hi, Dede. Hi, everyone. Thank you. The whole community is here. The ICHAD youth community, thank you very much. Thank you, Antanda. Thank you for our speakers that are here. It's a privilege to be here. Honestly, I don't think we need this opening address, but for formality's sake, let's just do so I'm not fired.
We do. We want to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dede. You look very amazing. Thank you for doing this with us and for every other speakers here. Thank you so much. My name is OK Davids. I work with the ICHAD Project, and I have the honor of convening this gathering today in partnership with Figo Foundation. And the essence of this conversation or the initiative is built on the belief that Africa's future is not something that happens just like that. It's something that we build together. You know, we live in a continent that is very, how will I put it? That is, we live in a continent of very, is it extraordinary paradox or paradoxes? I don't know how to put it now. So Africa is extraordinarily rich, but yet we're widely poor. You know, Africa is young yet underrepresented. Africa is the birthplace of civilization, yet we're also treated as underdeveloped. You know, back in 2023 or 24, I was somewhere in England, and someone asked me if we still live with lions, if we still live with animals, you know, the Shaka Zulu kind of thing. And first thing first, I just told her to Google Lekki, Nigeria, then come back. Then we'll have that conversation. Look at Ethiopia, look at other part of Nigeria, Africa rather, and see what's going on here. So there's a narrative that has been sold to people, to young people, even older people. Some persons don't even know what happens in Africa. But of course, you hear them talk about it. We are a home to the world's youngest population, and we have fast-growing cities. We are rich in natural, even human resources. But yet, if you look at conversations about Africa, sometimes it's often held by people outside of Africa. You know, you go into communities like maybe United Nations settings or all those agencies that are multinational agencies that are connected to nations. You hear people talking about Africa and you'll be wondering, you've not been there, you don't even know what Africa is about, you don't even know what we're about. So most of the things we see, especially in BBC and other media, their narrative that has been sold to our young people. Now, this conference was bettered from a counseling session, you know, having a chat with young people. And one of the things that you hear them say is, if only I can leave this country, if only I can leave Africa, my life will be better. And the truth is, right now, I don't know for other countries, but if you want to leave Nigeria to relocate, you need like $25,000 to $30,000 minimum. That means you're not poor. So if you can raise that kind of money, that means there's something that we're not seeing. There's a narrative that has been sold to us that we need to start changing. You see every young person, they are hustling, trying to gather money, trying to, do a lot of things just because they want to leave the country. So navigating Africa is not just a name, it's a declaration. If you understand what navigation means, it requires, before you use your Google map, first thing first, you tell you to turn your location. So it requires knowledge of where you are right now, where we are, where you are going, and the obstacles between. It requires courage to chart this course, and it requires a community. As a person, as an individual, I'm community oriented. I'm a community man. I'm not, yeah. In the chat box. Lovely. So most of my community folks are here, and we understand the power of coming together to do something. So there's something that has been sold to us in Africa, young people, not because we're not competing with anybody, we're not racing. In fact, as a matter of fact, we're racing against time. Our competition is not with any country or with anybody. It's just to see how we can make ourselves better. Africa does not lack policy. At some point, we have I think what some of the things we lack is would be implementation of those policies. So over the course of today, you're going to be listening to great thinkers, and some of these guys were careful. So we didn't just bring people that maybe that understand Africa, that love Africa. If you travel out of Africa, you see that there's so many persons that want to be African. They are really proud of our culture. No, we're bringing people, so they're coming to share their lived experiences. We have folks like Infanda, very big on what she's doing, empowerment, even in the United States and also in her country. We have folks like Biruk in Ethiopia. We have Aisha. These guys have worked in Africa, so they're coming to share their experiences with us. The goal, my prayer or my plea right now is that you have an open heart about the possibilities that we can all achieve in Africa. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I want to see young people in Africa do better, not just because we want to flaunt that wealth, but because we're wired to be great. Every civilized country today, they have their successes. You can trace it down to Africa one way or the other, or what is happening in Africa. So to everyone that have joined us today, shout out to Reverend Ada. I think I saw her here, my friend. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for to our board of directors that are here. Thank you for the opportunity to be doing this with you. And thank you for our amazing speakers. I know some of you are in different time zones. Some of you just woke up and you jumped in. And Thanda, thank you. You've been on the call for a while. Thank you so much. And I want to wish everyone a good day, and I hope we have a lovely event. Thank you. Day.
Thank you so much, okay, for that short but powerful presentation. Wow. I believe one thing. If America has the American dream, why can't Africa have the African dream? Why can't we have the African dream? We are all saying, yeah, we want to go to America because, yeah, that is the they have a dream and you want to be part of that dream. But of course, we as young change makers in whichever country we find ourselves, in Ghana, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Tanzania, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, I think and I believe that we can have the African dream. I want you to type the African dream in the comment section, because it is possible. And at the end of this Navigating Africa conference, we will come to a realization of what the African dream is, what the African dream should be, what the African dream should look like. All right. Thank you once again, okay. And now we're about to get the ball rolling. I have my beautiful and amazing sister. Usually, I don't like to introduce my speakers because I believe the speakers should introduce themselves. They know themselves better than I do. I may say something that is not even in the books. So I love for them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get the ball rolling. Our very first speaker is Intanda Mandawi. Oh, amazing entrepreneur, amazing storyteller, beautiful. She has, I'm sure you can see her profile on your screens. I'm not going to read that. She will do her introduction herself because, like I said earlier, she knows herself better than I do. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with a scream and a clap in the comment section, let's make welcome Inthanda Mandawi.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Confirming you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Inthanda. You're most welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be with you guys. And thanks for the warm welcome. And thank you for inviting me to this Navigating Africa conversation. I am African, Pan-African, from Malawi. I was born and raised in Malawi. I am presently living in the United States. I have been living here for exactly 4 years. As of yesterday, I came here because I was working with the United Nations as an evaluation analyst in New York City. I left the UN to do my own work. I went to do an MBA at Michigan State University. Last year, I was privileged to work briefly with Microsoft. And then after I worked with Microsoft, I came back to do my own company. I got a fellowship with the city of Detroit because they wanted me to build my own company. I'm from Michigan, headquartered in Detroit. So I have a fellowship right now living in Detroit, which I think all of these are important things and they're going to lead into what I'm talking about at present. Imagine the fact that I have graduated and it is the American government that wants to fund me to stay in America. No African government has come to the table. That is part of the problem, isn't it? Because I wanted to come back to Africa, but America said, we want you to stay. That is part of the change that we need to see in Africa. And I know usually we look to our leaders and say, they're going to make the difference. And oftentimes we have seen that that is not the reality. So in this conversation, I want you to think not what can they do, but what can you do? How can you and I be part of the solution? So the conversation today that I want to speak about is about predictive production, which is aligned with the work that I do. And I think the theme I was to speak on is about creating things that Africa needs. It is 2026, and a lot of African countries still face the idea of we have hunger. Like 2026, and we're talking about hunger. That does not even make any sense that we have food insecurity. And even on the topic of hunger, when it's America, we talk about, we don't say hunger. You never hear that there is hunger in America. When you talk about America, it's food insecurity, food insufficiency. When it comes to Africa, the language is different. We do not have enough. We do not have food. We don't have this. So even the language of how we speak about ourselves, and I think Oki talked about the UN and how others speak about us. It is our responsibility when we get in those spaces to say, you are going to speak differently and you're going to speak better about Africa. I think Oki talked about Google my country first, get to know it first. I got into the work that I do because I started a blog in 2013 and I wanted to just talk about Malawi because every time I Googled Malawi, it was poverty, hunger, dying kids. And I was like, this country has a beautiful country, beautiful lake, and nobody knows about it. So when I started sharing about it, I saw that the interest was there. So something that simple that you can do. When I was an undergrad, I started this blog. Something you can do is start telling stories, the good stories about where you come from, about the opportunities that are there. Now, Africa is presently facing what we call a demographic dividend. I'm a demographer. Of course, you can see my profile. My undergrad I studied demography and economics, and I have a Master of Science in Entrepreneurship, Digital Transformation, and then I've just done my MBA in Marketing Management. So the demographic dividend, basically, when described, is about that Africa is going to have, I think, 1.7 to 1 person. That's a working age population by 2050. By 2050, I think 1 in 4 of the people in the world are going to be African. So Africa is going to have a huge workforce. That is a great opportunity. But right now, presently, that workforce is unemployed or underemployed. What are we going to do that's going to be intentional to make sure that those people are employed and contributing to the continent? Because the demographic dividend is about that. When you have a bigger workforce than dependents, then you should be able to grow. But we can only grow if certain things are put in place. Some of those things are that workforce, are they properly educated? Because you can have so many people, none of them are educated and can actually do good work. So it's important that we invest heavily in education. The other thing is we are in the 4th industrial revolution right now. All the technologies have kind of advanced quite vastly. We're talking about Internet of Things, robotics, AI. All of these things are enabling us, giving us a new opportunity to do something that is quite incredible right now if we can be intentional about being highly skilled. I teach at Michigan State University. I also teach at the Malawi University of Science and Technology. In these two spaces, I'm able to compare my students. My African students have no skills. And I'm going to say, if you are young today, work hard and learn to do things. Learn to do the hard things. Use your brain to the ends of your possibilities. You must get to a place where you're like, if it can be done. I started out as an economist, as a blogger. To this day, the only thing that I can't do in tech is maybe manage a data center. I can manage a server. I can write code. I can manage websites. I can build a website in 4 hours. And when I think of myself, sometimes I think, oh, wow, I'm a really special African. When I come in America, I'm quite normal. Almost everybody I meet in America is operating at that scale. And if we're talking about that Africa is going to move forward, we're going to need, I think I can say about 65 of us on this call. We are all going to have to be highly skilled moving the country forward. We talk about that America has the American dream, and we said we must define what the African dream must be. The African dream must be that it is one where we are all deeply skilled and we all work quite incredibly well, because that is what it takes to build industries. We talk about that I want to move to America because the GDP of America is about, I think, $55,000 or about $60,000 if I'm not wrong. And you want to move to a country that makes that much. They make that much, if we're being honest, because they work harder, they have better systems, and that is what we must fix. If we're going to move our countries, Nigeria, Malawi, Kenya, East Africa, Rwanda, if we're going to move all these countries to have the GDPs that can compare with the world, and we must learn from China, we must learn from Asia. I don't know if you know, but just 50 years ago, China was poorer than Ghana. China had a lower GDP than Ghana. It took them 50 years to turn them around, and now they're at par with the US. They're competing economy with the US because they went back to the drawing board. And what did they do? They invested in education. I believe you and I, when we were kids, we heard that China was abusing their children because they were in class about 8 hours a day, and we said that is abuse. That abuse looks like industrialization today. That abuse looks like that. I don't know if you know, but America does not make the iPhone. The iPhone is made in China. The iPhone is made in China. China went to the drawing board and put their feet down and said, we're going to make what the world needs. We're going to create things that the world needs. So that's part of what I think we must get to leverage. When I talk about predictive production, it's about that with the fourth industrial revolution. We have the technologies that for the first time ever, we can produce with technologies, and we can eliminate errors. We can eliminate hunger in our lifetime. We can create iPhones. We can create the technologies that the world needs, and we do not move to America. Like I said, I am based in the Americas right now because I came here because when I was in Africa, I was like, there's something maybe that I'm missing that I don't know. And I was glad I came because these are the things that I have seen, and I've seen America firsthand. And I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing differently. And when I talk about my students, again, I talked about that my African students don't have skills. I'm very careful to say my African students are not smart. That is not the problem. Because when I look at my American students and my African students, intellectually, maybe my African students are even as brilliant, but they did not have a good education, number one, and they do not do the work. So you have the brilliance, but you have to get educated, and it is your personal incentive that you must go online. Google, all these American universities now offer these free skills online. Please go ahead and take those courses. Again, learn to practice. Go ahead and do things. Try the harder things. And I know trying is hard. Starting is hard. So start when you can. Learn new things. There is a book by Howard French that I'm reading at the moment. I'm reading 2 books at the moment. Also another thing, please read. I do write. You can check out some of my books as well. There's some for youth and some that are more complex and more in the policy space. Just look up my name and you'll find some of my work and some of my websites. So 2 books that I'm reading at the moment, and that's something that I think young Africans struggle to do. I'm reading the book Apple in China. Most of the knowledge I'm telling you that I know about that, how Apple is being manufactured in China, I'm finding it in this book, and I'm getting into the details of how this company grew over time. There's a lot of information in books. Don't read for school. I mean, do it for that, of course, but read for your own personal knowledge and gain as well. So Apple in China talks about the journey that Apple went through from when it was founded to when it tested their manufacturing in Mexicali, in Singapore, in Japan, all the way until how China won all of that. And now I think almost $8 billion in revenue of Apple goes to China because of where they focused on. Now there's a book by Howard W. French, which also talks about Africa, and the title of the book is China's Second Continent. Howard W. French is scared that Africa might become China's second continent if we are not careful. China is coming, and they're very intentional about investing in our continent. They did it on their land, they figured it out, and now they said, we're going to come after Africa. If you and I are not careful, we're going to become Chinese colonies. We need to be super careful about owning our narrative and making sure that we industrialize. There are a lot of policies, and please start reading up on what the UN is doing. I think that's something that I was privileged by having beautiful mentors at the UN and beyond. When I joined the UN, a lot of my mentors said, please read any and everything. If there's a policy report, know what's happening. If there is something about your country, know what is going on. So please start reading. You must know what the African Free Continental Free Trade Area is. And that must become a production strategy for Africa. It's you and I. So typically, I think something I said at an event at the beginning of this year was, up until now, we usually say our leaders are idiots. I will tell you, in 10 years, 15 years, the idiots are going to be you and me. Now it will be the next generation that are going to be calling us that we are the idiots. So we have to make a difference, and we have to make a change. If you are a student, if you are working, it is time now, not tomorrow, not in 10 years, not in 20 years. Now is the time that we start building what the African dream is. And I want to push it that if you're going to walk away from anything I've said today, you must be literate, you must be highly skilled, and you must be extremely knowledgeable. I guess as I'll close by saying what was said at the beginning, which is today we must define what the African dream is. What does Africa want? I want to hear that at the end of today. Thank you so much for having me. It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, Dade.
Thank you so much, Inthanda. That was a beautiful one. And my takeaway from it is, if we are going to define what the African dream is, we have to be equipped skillfully. We have to acquire the necessary skills to be able to fulfill that African dream, or make that African dream a reality. And in the case of China, they are doing that so well. They have defined their China dream, producing iPhones for us to use worldwide. You can imagine young children as little as 5 years, 10 years are the ones developing the phones and laptops that we use worldwide. And they have defined their country's dream. And so young leaders, change makers, if we are going to make sure that the African dream will become a reality, then we must be skillful. In the panel discussion, we're going to throw more light on the necessary skills that as young change makers, we have to acquire to make sure that we stand tall on the global stage. Thank you so much, Ithanda. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful one. Wow. 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 Let's give her a round of applause. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Now we'll be hearing shortly from Asatu Ture, and he will be taking us through how the private sector partnerships can unlock youth leadership in Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Asatu Ture. He will introduce himself. That's a drill here. I'm not going to introduce any speaker. They will introduce themselves because they know themselves better than I do. So, Asatu Ture, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dede. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. So my name is ICHAD Project, and I come from Senegal. So I'll be talking today about, as you mentioned, how to unlock partnerships for youth leadership. I'd like also to take some time to really congratulate this platform. I think it's essential. And I also want to congratulate the previous panelists, because I was listening and I was also so inspired. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So great to be here. So allow me to maybe share my screen. I do have a couple of slides. I think that's can support to structure my presentation. So let me just quickly try to present. Interesting, I don't see my presentation anymore. So just give me 1 second. Just to confirm, are you able to hear me? Let's start with that.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
Great. Africa, can you hear Asatu Ture? Yes, give up in the comment section.
Great.
Awesome.
So I think I'm just gonna share my whole computer because I can't just select one particular screen. Yeah, so let me do that. All right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Perfect. So my presentation is, as I mentioned, around how we can have private sector partnerships to unlock youth leadership in Africa. So I will really start with presenting myself very briefly. I think it also sometimes help to understand what are the, like how we became who we are and why we are where we are right now. And then I'm going to go and present very quickly what does partnerships people actually do, which is a question that sometimes come quite often. And then we'll see now what's the current context and how you can position yourselves as young people. Okay, so yeah, so let me start with my presentation. So I'm ICHAD Project, as I mentioned. I really started my engagement and work within development cooperation as a student. Actually, I was very much involved into youth organizations, but very local ones, student ones. Then in university, I started identifying very quickly some internships that I wanted to do abroad because I knew where I wanted to go, but I wasn't sure what type of tools, skills that I needed. So I was trying to work during the day and then having my university courses at night. And that enabled me to have enough money to now start traveling to my internships. So I was very much aware of all the tools that existed within my organization, my university. That allowed young people to have scholarships to study abroad, but also to do local projects. So just getting the information and seeking it already unlocked some of the opportunities that I was able to approach. And then when I finished my university, so I studied political sciences, I was very lucky to be an intern for the German Development Corporation, so it's called GIZ. And I was supporting the African Union Youth Division on everything linked to youth policy. So this is how I was exposed to what's happening outside my country of origin, which is Senegal, and learn and also get inspired by other young people and movements in Africa. And I think this is where I started seeing that, first of all, we are doing the work. We already are leaders. Sometimes what was missing was really the tools. Do we have the tools? Do we have the resources? Do we have the opportunities? And that's how I actually thought, okay, I want to actually operate in that sphere. I want to help young people unlock their potential. Yeah, then moving forward to GIZ, I came back to Senegal, and I've been working a couple of years for UNICEF, which is the UN agency for children and youth. And in that sense, I started my first position as a partnerships, so business engagement and youth empowerment consultants. So supporting the Senegal country office into how we can use and tap into the private sector, which is very rich and diverse in Senegal. Sometimes we think it's not powerful, but it is. Like, they're so powerful. They have such networks. And so we basically try to make a whole strategy around how to stop depending from the north and try to cultivate local fundraising, local partnerships. So that was the whole idea of my consultancy. And then I moved to the regional office, covering 24 countries in West and Central Africa. And I was leading the individual giving strategy. So individual giving is basically raising funds from individuals. So it's really you and I, everyone can just give $2, whatever amount you have. And this amount, this mass of individuals giving money, this is what we call individual giving. So again, it was still in the same strategy to try and tap into the local potential and also local private sector pots to raise funds for children in Africa. But so it's also giving agency to Africans, because we said basically, we want you to have a role in the project that we're doing here. And if you have a role, you have agency, you're able to also work on the communication, on the visibility, on the narrative. So it's not just money, it's the whole, how do you say, engagement. And that's what I want to present to you, like how you can yourself identify that and then use it for your own projects. So that's a bit about my career. So now I currently work again for GIZ, but here in Senegal, in the TVET sector. So I'm trying to invite and convince basically the private sector to work on dual. So it's called dual cooperation in English, in French. So I don't know if it makes sense in English, but basically it's just that we want to have young people have practical skills. So they're doing 20% of their learning in training center, and then 80% concrete work in a company. But we need to convince those companies to get those young people. So again, it's still about the engagement of the companies. So very quickly, I've been talking a lot. So what does a partnerships person do? So as I mentioned, we are kind of connectors. So we need to understand, first of all, the work that you're doing, the company within you're working, or the project that you have. And once you really know what you're doing and where you're going, it's very easy to sell it. So now you need to find, like, make a diagnostic of the different potential partners that you can actually invite, connect. And it doesn't mean that you need to have money. It can just be like one person opening you doors to another sphere, or it can be one institution saying, okay, we do have some tools, but we don't have money. So one of the first private sector partnerships that I was able to unlock, it was just a medium, very even small, I would say a small company working in construction. And when we met them, they basically told us, we're constructing roads, and we've seen that the population around those roads, they're quite vulnerable, and we don't know what to do. So it was amazing. I was like, okay, so we can do A, B, C, D, E, F, Z, because I knew exactly what we're doing in our organization, and I was able to position ourselves as the convener to say, first of all, we're not working alone, which is very important. You cannot be working in silo. Like, if you want to have more partners, if you want to have people's contribute to your projects, etc. You always need to show that you're working as a group or within a community or an entity, so that it also shows sustainability, right? Because if you go down, you know that other people maybe can take over. So showing that we had access to the government, that we're also working with civil society, etc. So just positioning the organization in a sense that they would say, okay, these people, they know what they're doing, and they're like they're the main people, they are entry point. So that was the first step. So that's why I'm saying connector, because they didn't give us money, they just gave us their expertise. So what they did is that they trained other people into constructing wash infrastructure. So it was really about access to water. So they didn't give us money, but they constructed water and sanitation infrastructure in those vulnerable areas. And this for us was a result, because the children and the communities in those areas their lives were improved. So that's one example. When I say storyteller, it's because you need to be able to show the impact that you're doing or that you want to have. So it's not just about numbers, saying we've touched 10 people, 18 people. No, we need to know how you touch them and what was the base situation. So that means you need to be able to quantify and document very precisely whatever you're doing. And then the storytelling will help you to actually add this extra emotional, how to say that? Yeah, this emotional component to your history, basically, and to the impact that you have. So as partnerships people, we're also resource mobilizers, as I mentioned. We're also, and mostly, let's say, trying to also have financial support from our partners. It can be through us directly or through our beneficiaries. We usually call them stakeholders, because they are not beneficiaries. Usually they have a more active role. So through our stakeholders, or it can be through different platforms. However it works, the end goal for us, is basically to make sure that young people and children and women, their lives are improved. And also accountability keeper, because you need to be transparent. You cannot just ask for people to work with you, partner with you, give you money, and then disappear. Like, they need to know that what they did is concrete, that they had a result, and how much of their effort contributed to the results that you have. So again, that means being able to document everything and track and report back on the impact. So you can do this, as I mentioned, in an organization with your own structure, initiative, and yeah, so that's just allows me also to quickly introduce one platform that I've put in place quite recently with a person that I've met in a conference. So also the work and the importance of networking is crucial. So I've met her, we were discussing something completely different, different topic. Then we connected on LinkedIn, which is a formidable tool for me. People are quite accessible on LinkedIn. You would be surprised. On LinkedIn, she just shared an experience about her trying to basically recruit some young people, but it was very difficult because she received a lot of applications. But once you start filtering, you realize maybe 10% actually qualify for the job, or 10% were able to write follow the proper application guidelines, or there was multiple issues that made that the big number of applicants finally was reduced to maybe 1 or 2 people being able to be interviewed. And she was quite surprised by that. So we connected on that because I mentioned, oh, I'm also doing some mentorship to help young people with their applications. And I realized the same issues. Sometimes they don't realize that the way they apply is the reason they don't have a response. So we decided to create a platform called Job Rec. Rec in Wolof means now, like just jobs. So just to focus basically on how to support young people having the first employment opportunities. So that's how we created Jobs Rec. So you see, this is one initiative that we started by ourselves, just connecting. So what was important in this story is, first of all, you identified a problem. Second of all, you connected with somebody maybe in a different sector, but because you saw that you had a common interest, you try now to create something together. And third component that I forgot to mention is that we started online. And it's free. So it's not something that you need money. Like, usually the work that you do, you can start with nothing. It's just you, your computer, or just you and your iPhone or your phone. You don't need a lot of resources. You just need ideas. And once you have ideas, now you start to plan. And you plan small, step by step. Don't overwhelm yourself with big, huge plans, and then you get overwhelmed and then you're unable to actually start doing something. So it's really like, think about small steps that you can do, and then find the right people, and then the rest will come. So that's basically to really quickly go on what partnerships people do. And why it's important right now that we have more and more partnerships for, it's because, first of all, you don't learn at school to do partnerships or fundraising. Usually all of us who are in this area, we were working either in advocacy, or we were working in communications, or we were working, so we started like moving towards partnerships, and you learn as you go. So it's not something that you naturally grow into. It's really, yeah, you just learn, you just have to learn. And it's like, as you do, you make mistakes, you learn. So partnerships roles are more and more appreciated now in the development corporation, because they realize we cannot just continue with the AIDS, with the ODA model, because this model is breaking down. So in the past model, old model, I would say, the funds usually came from the north. So it's either governments like Canada or the US who would give money, but it's also their people, the individuals, as I said, individual giving. You know, this is what we call individual giving. It would be individuals just giving $1, $2 per month. Sorry. Okay, just let me know what the time if I talk too much also, but I'll try to wrap it up very quickly. So basically this model is kind of shrinking now. And when the North was like able to give money and fundraise, then the South would implement. But that had conditions, because if someone is giving you money, they'll tell you also what you have to do with that money. So now it had to have an impact on the agenda and the decisions of this aid. So it was very conditioned, and the power kind of was from the one giving to the one receiving. It was unidirectional, and it was kind of unpredictable as well. So because this model is kind of shrinking, and this also started a little bit after COVID, and it got really emphasized when Donald Trump came into power. But as you know, he deleted US aid, etc., etc. So now governments are taking their own money, instead of putting it into development cooperation, they're now putting it into their defense because of the war, etc., etc. So we know that this model is shifting. We don't know yet what will be the new solidarity models, but we can have the guess. And my guess is private sector, honestly. So private sector is the way forward, because the companies are there, they're sustainable, they can provide us expertise, knowledge, money, they have platforms, and they also have their interests. So you just need to turn now the way you frame the work that you're doing to make sure that it aligns with the local private sector, which is usually very dynamic. There's also philanthropy, foundations, we also call that private sector, even though it depends on the companies, but usually within private sector, we have individuals who are giving, with individual giving, philanthropy, companies, foundations, and heritage and diaspora giving. So we're moving towards more of this, including digital fundraising. So African giving is already there. There's a really nice and amazing report that was out. I think you should read it. It's called Epic Africa. And in this report, they share and they challenge the myth that Africans are not giving, which is so wrong. It's just that it is not the way the North is giving. We're just using different ways and different amounts and in different occasions. But we are giving. And in the report, they show very solid data that 65% of African CSOs, they receive individual donations. And that was steady, even though during COVID-19, and it actually got up. So 24 countries in the region that I was working when I was working in UNICEF, this is the countries that I was covering. And we realized that it's sometimes the countries that we say the poorest that we're giving more. So there's so much to learn about individual giving in Africa. And we just need to have an open mind and not think and replicate what's happening in the North and doing it here. So it's about flexibility, agility, but also understanding, getting to understand your donors. What do they want? Why do they want? How do they want? How do they want to be communicated on, etc., etc. So African giving is not marginal, it's not informal, it's not just for foods, for funerals, as we tend to say, but we see that African giving is also in spheres like advocacy, human rights, environment, and social justice. Okay, so now, very concretely, what are the 4 ways that private sector can unlock youth leadership? So first of all, as I mentioned earlier, is really about the impact, okay? So you want to showcase the impact that you have. And the private sector, especially companies, their love stories is good, huh? But at the end of the day, they want to see how them supporting you will allow them to basically have more profits, you see? So at some point, we were looking into CSR, so which is the corporate social responsibility of companies, which is a way companies wanted to have a social impact on the communities, or in some of the communities where they were operating. But the amounts were so limited. Like they would say, oh, we have €1,000 or $1,000 for a year, and then we will give, I don't know, like $200 to this organization, $200 to this other organization. So it was small bits. Now they're now talking and moving towards ESG, which is, I don't even know what that means. It's like I don't know, social something. So it's just these new acronyms that just keep popping in. But what you need to understand is that now the private sector, they kind of need sometimes to access the markets to show that they have an impact. And so now they need to be much more structured and much more intentional, and they need to stop giving small amounts, but need to be aligned maybe with whatever they're doing. So in order to reach out to them, you need to be able to have a clear outcomes. What are you doing? What's the impact? And clear KPIs so that they can follow and say, okay, we've done A, B, C, D, E. So this is what's the result. Okay, 2 more minutes to go. All right, let me just wrap it up. So second thing is need to have dignified storytelling. So for individual giving, so again, which is individuals giving small amounts, we realized that in the north, they would use pictures of young Africans or children, very, very vulnerable in undignified positions, etc. So we're trying to completely change that, because now we say we want to raise for ourselves, right? So we have a word in the narrative that we want to share, and we need to be able to change that storytelling. And that also means sometimes that you even need to to train, or to I wouldn't say train, but your own for example, the donors that you will be talking to, they might have an idea. So you also need some time to advocate towards another idea. So it's kind of training them, but it's like more raising awareness, right? So I found this difficulty in the beginning when I was doing individual giving in the region. I would, show very positive image of young people, of children, etc. But that wouldn't raise money because people didn't understand the urgency of it. They're already happy. Why would I give money to you guys? And then we tested more negative imagery. And now the money was flowing, which is really sad. So now I was like, okay, so we have a problem here, because of course, when you see someone in distress, you understand more the urgency and the need to support, right? But do we want to raise money this way? So it's really a question of balance. So you need to be able also to train. So what we're doing now is through newsletters, we're explaining, training, and sensitizing our donors to say, this is where we want to go. This is the results and the impact that we have, etc. Without having to show these pictures of young people and children in distress. So the third thing is about digital fundraising. This is kind of the future. You guys are young people. TikTok, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. So use it, and use it first to identify what's your value added, but also then to communicate on the work that you're doing. And then if then you have your proof of concept and you want to scale up, now this is the time to actually look for funds. And this is how you can reach to bigger market, if I can say, not just limited to your own community. And then the last thing is community first. It's even in business we say that it's like love money. So usually when you start a company, it's usually your community, your family, your entourage who will be there and supporting first. And this is the same with the partnerships. It's usually people who actually look like you, who know where you're going, where you're coming from, etc. So it's more of your immediate community. So be prepared and to share the information out there, and to communicate that very well to people. So as I mentioned, you don't need money to start your project. You just need an idea, a proof of concept, and a lot of courage and determination. So you test ideas, very small ones. You see what works, what doesn't work. You really iterate as you go and you move forward. You'll see, okay, I've done this 2 times. The effects were not that great, but you still document, and don't forget to document and work very strategically. So that's the first idea. And then you can start looking for partners. Don't think immediately money. Again, think about connectors, about the networks, maybe mentors. Maybe you just need a space to work, or a computer to work on. So it's really small things, and skills. These are the things that you need to think about. How I can make my project more structured and more impactful? What are the tools, or what are the gaps that I need to identify and work on them? And then you document. All through the way, you document your impact. You capture stories, numbers, the lives you changed, etc., the work that you have done, the people you have worked with, etc. You work that you're able to work in an ecosystem and not by yourself. And then that's when you want to scale up. And when you scale up, this is interesting now to attract funding. And you attract funding by doing a diagnostic of what are the gaps, funding gaps for you, and then what are the different companies or organization or philanthropy or etc. working in the area that you're working in, and then how you can contact and reach out to them. And as I mentioned, LinkedIn is amazing. One time I wanted to do a partnership with a really cool mobile money company here in Senegal. I've tried reaching out to the contacts, it wasn't working. At some point I was tired. I went on LinkedIn, I typed the name of the CEO and I said, hey, I tried working with your teams, but it's not working. I want to do A, B, C, D, E with you. And she was like, okay, let's meet. And that was it. So when you reach out to people though, you need to have a clear idea of your ask. Don't just go and say, hi, how you doing? I hate that. Like I have a lot of highs in, I'm not even responding. Just come with a very structured idea. We want to do this and we think you're the right person for it because of that, etc., etc. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Last maybe slide is that what we need to stop and start. So very quickly, we want to stop the northern funding cycles because this is not sustainable. At some point, we cannot rely only on that. We need to diversify and we can diversify locally. You want to define youth not only through vulnerability, but more positive. Young people are assets. And proof of concept, and how can they join this movement, right? You want to build systems to receive African generosity, and also it starts, I said, locally within your community, etc. And one last thing that I think it's important, but not only focus on that, is diaspora. Honestly, the money that the diaspora has been giving, we've seen data over the years that it's almost sometimes 1.5 times the money that the ODA is giving. So the diaspora is giving so much money. We just need to identify how we can tap into it, because usually they want to support their own family, direct family. So how we can try to also showcase that they can support, even though they continue to support to their own family, they can still support otherwise, and then redirect that to your own projects, hopefully. That's it. So thank you very much for your time. So sorry I was very talkative today, but do not forget, you are the change makers. You already have the ideas. You already have the concept in your heads. You just need to take small actions. So start your proof of concept today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aissatou Toure, for that impactful presentation. Wow. There's a wealth of wisdom in this room today. I tell you, my takeaways from her presentation, though, you don't need a lot of resources to start something. You need an idea and courage. And when you reach out to people, please go straight to the point. Which one is hi? Then you wait. Good morning. Then you come back. My name is, just go straight to the point. Because mind you, the world is now fast paced. People are busy. They don't have time for their gadgets and all of that. So when you reach out to people, just be succinct, straight to the point. Tell them what you want. Like she did, she reached out to the LinkedIn CEO. She went straight to the point. She says, okay, let's meet and then talk further. And that's how we begin that impactful and important partnership in achieving our American dream. I hope we remember the African dream, sorry. All right, let's give a round of applause to Aissatou Toure for that. Thank you so much, Aissatou. But in the panel discussion, we'll be talking about, I want you to ponder over this. Do you think that the youth of today are more money inclined? Because you mentioned that we shouldn't think about money. So I want you to ponder over this, and then we'll shed more light on that. Do you think the youth of today are more money inclined than impact oriented, or it's the other way around? All right. So we'll be moving on. We've done Malawi, we've done Senegal, we're going all the way to Ghana. Do we have some Ghanaians here? If we have some Ghanaians here, let's see thumbs up in the comment section, some excitement. Okay, all right. Now, The next one we are about to talk about is beyond the ballot. Now, according to the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, they say that Africans, okay, young people account for nearly 400 million Africans. And these young people are between the ages of 15 and 35, which is more like representing a 35% of the continent's population. But then when you look at across Africa, most of our leaders today are over 60 years. Why is that? It's unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. And our next speaker will be delving more into that. Beyond the ballot papers, how can we position ourselves as change makers for leadership? Okay, absolutely. Let me see beyond the ballot in the comment section. Of course, you'll be interested in this. And our next speaker, Nana Beidu Latte, a very good friend, will be delving into it. And he's going to talk about the practical pathways for African youth to move from voice to influence in leadership and governance. Hi, Nana.
Oh,
It's good to see you after
good to see
so
you
many
too.
years.
I know, right? I know.
All right, Nana. So the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to every one of you, wherever you're from. I know most of us are in Nigeria as I speak, whether you're in the southwest, Lagos, Geredu, Mushen, Lekki, mainland, wherever you are, in northwest, Kanu, Kaduna, wherever. It's good to be here, and God really purposed you to be here today. My name is Nana Beidu, a very young, fortunate gentleman who I would say, by God's grace, at a very young age, I was fortunate to go through the political system and working with the government of Ghana, the presidential system. So sit very close with the president and had dialogues and worked on government policies. So I've got the opportunity to have a very close view, not only on Ghana, but on some African countries. In Nigeria, I worked with Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, the immediate past vice president, and in Kenya and other African countries. And today, my topic is, the topic given to me was Beyond the Ballot, Practical Pathways for African Youth to Move from Voice to move to influence in leadership and governance. Whatever I'm going to say here is through my experience and, to me, the practical way on our continent. There are things that might work in the US but won't work in Ghana, or won't work on our African continent, especially Ghana and Nigeria. There are things that politically maybe in the US they will say, just learn, do this. It's not, it will work there, but it won't work in our home, me and you. We know how loyalty works when it comes to politics in Africa. Now, the thing is, how can we position ourselves well? First, I want to let each and everyone here know that integrity counts a lot. Now, no matter how people will tell you that the political space is very corrupt and everything, there's a need for you to have or build that integrity, no matter what. And I know it's so hard, but I'm going to hold on to that and go through this route. Every one of you on this platform, you have a purpose. You have a purpose. God has given you a purpose. You're born with something special, something unique. There is no way you can tell me, or you tell me you don't have a reason for being. There is that idea that keeps going through your mind. And it's good you are here. I believe today is a time for you to sit down and put things down and see how you can start. Most of the youth wants to be up there to go, but that's not how it works. You have to start from somewhere. But God, in his infinite way, has given each and every one of you a purpose. So I want each and everyone to take time and know and identify your purpose. It's needed to have a plan in life than to just live by whatever comes your way. If you have a a plan, that means you have a standard by which you fall for, or the standard by which you go by. It is hard. Yes, it is hard. It is not easy sometimes working on the mainland. It is not easy sometimes, right from the university lecture halls, how to pay fees, how to get a good job. I know it is tough. I know. I'm not speaking from a place of riches. I know it is tough. But I know God has a reason, a purpose for you being born in that community, for you being there. But now here is it. Take it like God is telling you this. And I know He has been telling you. He has given you a plan. That's how those ideas, those thoughts come to your mind. The time is for you to write them down and start working towards them. Break them down. We are fan of, I want to get here. So no matter what, I want to go there. I truly want you to know, I've been fortunate to sit with rich people. See, you can get the money, but if you're not able to fulfill your purpose, you feel so useless. And one thing I've realized is each and every African is special because, I always say first, our continent is special because it's a developing continent, meaning we have so many problems, but we ourselves don't want to solve our problems. We want others to solve for us. Now those eras are passing. The time is for you to solve the problem around you within the community. That is why you are there. If you don't know, and maybe you'll be thinking about something big, I want to go make it big somewhere. No. The richest people on earth are people that are able to solve problems. If you've got the privilege to watch Dangote's interview, you realize all what he keeps saying is all about solving problems. And out of the solving problems, then notice something. He doesn't think about money first. He thinks about problem, solving the problem. Now, it's just nature. The moment you start solving the problem, the money will come. The money will come. I sit with my colleague youth and you're so money anxious. You just need the money now, but that is not it. Build. Take your time. Build. Understand the system. It is tough. Everywhere is tough. Everywhere is hot. Trust me. Everywhere is hot. But see, I always say this. I know it's tough in Lagos. I know it's tough in most of the places in Nigeria. But within the toughness, there is something there there's a problem there you can solve. There's a problem there. You know it for yourself, but you think you want to go to school, go get the office job. The office job don't even pay you. You're helping someone to fulfill their purpose. I'm not kind of insulting anyone, but taking like you work in maybe like a founder. We're helping people you're helping people fulfill their purpose whilst you're not fulfilling yours, but you were born to fulfill a purpose. Every individual on our continent or every human being is a leader on his own. You have something within you. I'm saying all this because of the experience I've had in governance. I've sat with leaders who had been honest to me to let me know their mistakes and errors, whereby they didn't really build or do something on their own, being like an entrepreneur to build their own wealth. But when they got to the stage on depending on business moguls, they got the positions. I know people in Nigeria, leaders in Nigeria, they got the position, but they were being manipulated by these business moguls. I don't want that to happen in my generation. I've seen leaders sit down and you can tell, like from their expression, they don't want to do some things, but because they are not the one who sponsored themselves, because they are not the one who sponsored their campaign, they can't do it. Don't be that leader. The time is now. The time is now to build that small business you think is small. I'm saying this from a practical experience. Yes, you want to be within the sanity, you want to be whatever it is. I first started with integrity. No matter what you think, no matter where you want to get to, you have to start somewhere by serving. Yes, some service won't give you money, trust me. you feel like these people are using you. But even in they using you, know that you're also learning something. Please, we have. It's okay to go through it now. You just go through it. I know it's not easy. Just go through it. I didn't come here with a power. Yes, I was supposed to prepare or something, but I'm speaking from my heart and my experience and my continuous engagement with leaders. I own this non-profit and a think tank. It's called the Africa We Want. It's all about what we do is trying to come up with a roadmap on how Africa can develop. Listen, I've been fortunate to sit down with captains of industries and world leaders. Yes, the World Bank will tell you Africa is the future. But Africa ourselves, we don't even have a plan on our own. We don't have a plan. So it's up to you and me to sit down and see, listen, in life, whilst growing up, they told you go to junior high school, go to senior high school, and go to the university. Then you come out and you get a job. That's the normal one they've given us. But what about our country? What about our district? What about our local government? How can we develop our environment? These are things they're not talking about. And it's up to you and me to do it. That is why we are alive and we were born in those communities. I want each and every one here to have that faith and believe in themselves. Those thoughts that keep coming to mind, write them down and start to see how you can do it. It's good. We all have other speakers here. Myself, I'm going to be available. You can reach out to me because this is something I'm doing with most of the African youth. And within my position in governance, whether I was the lead or the youth lead in diaspora, I also engage with the diaspora community here in the state, US, and we have some of them that are so passionate. 4 weeks ago, I was at Johns Hopkins University speaking with the African youth there. Most of them wants to do projects, right, on the continent. So now this is what we want. We want people that are working on various projects on Africa, in Africa. Then the diaspora communities, those that believe they are from Africa, those that also were on the African continent but left Africa and are studying, they all want to come back. If you truly want to know in this world at the moment that we are in, Africa is the future. Africa is the world. That's everyone is saying it. Mainly because there are a lot of resources that we ourselves, it's like we are on it, but we don't know. It's like someone in Port Harcourt is telling me, Charlie, it's really hot. Whilst from afar, Port Harcourt is full of resources. These states are full of resources. I'll be ending my talk, but I want you to know that you were born on this earth for a reason, a purpose. Those ideas that keep coming to mind, please write them down and start working on them. No matter what it is, don't compromise. We've normalized corruption. We've normalized all these things. Do not compromise. Stand on your ground. And no matter what it is, God will take you through. That is why you are still alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nana. Africa, we don't have a plan. Wow. it's I don't even know what to say. But we need a plan. Yeah. And Nana, in the panel discussion, I want you to ponder over this. I want us to look at what the ideal African plan should look like. Yeah. So that as change makers in making an effort to bring about change in our various endeavors, we can take inspiration from what the African plan should look like. And I think that is how we can make progress if we want to achieve the African dream. Thank you so much, Nana. I know some of the speakers want to run away, but I'll plead with you to still stay on. Okay, stay on, because we'll be having the panel discussion very soon. We'll take our last but one speaker's remarks, and then we'll delve into it. Our last but one speaker is Naomi Injemo, and she is going to talk about reclaiming the African narrative.
That's Biruk, not Naomi. Biruk, please check.
Oh, Biruk. Okay.
Yeah, from Ethiopia. Yeah. Naomi will go off to Biro, please.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So Biruk from Ethiopia will be taking the next, and he's talking about Africa's youth in global governance. Why our voice matters. Oh, that's an interesting topic. That's a very interesting topic. Why our voice matters. Now, according to the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, again, they have realized that most of the youth, okay, our voter participation has dropped. So now the youth, we are not voting. We are not voting at all. We are not participating in elections as we used to. Why is that? During the panel discussion, we'll delve into it. But Biruk Ashaliu, I hope I got your name right. Forgive me if I didn't. But that's a brother from Ethiopia, and he has the floor. Biruk, over to you. Hello, Biruk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Brukas Chalo from Ethiopia. First of all, I really want to say thank you, my brother, K. Davids, the organizers, the teams, for this timely and important discussion. I was also able to learn from my previous speaker from Ghana. It's really inspiring and engaging. The topics are very hot issues that young Africans must dive into and come to at work. So just a little bit to introduce myself. This is Brooke, founder and president of Ndarasi Youth Association. Ndarasi means ambassador in Ethiopian Amharic language. So I worked there as a president, working for the past 5 years in youth leadership and empowerment. Also, I serve as executive director for the Africa Youth Forum, which is a Pan-African youth platform that focuses on policy and systemic change. Also, not the least, just to minimize, I also serve as program lead at Connect to the World. It's my third initiative in which focus on connecting young Ethiopians and Africans to the globe, to the world. And we have class sessions, world class session. We had a pleasure to be joined by my friend Oki Davids last time on navigating the African Union system. And today we will be starting Court 5. For the past 5 quarters, we were training young Africans in knowing the AU system. So at the end of my speech, I will be happy to give away 4 scholarships for our youth participants in Nigeria and across the region.
Whoa.
So I think
before you go on, let's grasp that. Let it settle in our spirits. Did you hear that? Do you all hear that? He's giving 4 scholarships. But Biruk, why only Niger? Why not the African countries?
Yeah,
Why not
Senegal,
Ghana, and the rest? We are jealous.
Yeah. So keep engaged. So
Okay.
at the end of the session, our embassy will choose 4 scholarships to give away. So when we think about participation of users in global governance, especially in Africa, one thing that we must understand is who are the youth, or users who, just redefining the meaning of young people in Africa. As we see in the fact statistics in demographic, the African demographic or statistics currently speaks that more than 60% of the African community or the population is young people, which is under the age of 30. And also, especially in the Ethiopian context, That's much higher number. It goes up to 70, 80%. So we are speaking about the larger portion of the African population. When we speak about young people must engage in policy, must engage in global governance, we are speaking about the majority of the population, not some kind of, I see most of time, we need to include youth. We need to, no, it doesn't make sense. Yesterday I was in a high-level workshop by Life and Peace Institute here in Addis, and they were saying marginalized groups, that includes youth. And I was the only one from Ethiopia, and I said, no, no, objection. Users are not marginalized group. Users are the major groups. So we need to start from definition, because most of time in Africa, we speak about something that we really don't know. We miss the definition, whereas we say we advocate for that, for this. No, no, we need to define first what's use and who are the use. So as I mentioned earlier, users are the major groups. Africa is the youngest continent in which the major group of the population is fresh labor, fresh educated, that is able to connect with the world and make changes. If you see the Ethiopians, last time we were at the Prime Minister office for a meeting, and we were seeing statistics that in Ethiopia, every year, there is a 30 million students from high school, elementary, up to university. So imagine only Ethiopia's students are some African countries' population. So you can see that how, when we speak about use, the opportunity, and who are we speaking to? It's a large number. It's a number that have fresh minds, educated mind, and ready to work and to bring a change. So when we speak about use, we are speaking about this group of the population, which needs a huge focus or a lot of attention. So the next point will be how we can make opportunities available and how we make ourselves ready before we engage to global governance or the system that we're planning. At my youth association here in Ethiopia, we have 3 E's that we work on as a mission. That's enlightenment of mind. First, we need mind enlightenment. It's good if you take it also, because if mind is not enlightened, the leg doesn't know where to go. So when we speak about enlightenment, it's all about mindset. Where are we going? Where is our direction? Where is our destination? So we work on enlightenment, enlightening the mind, or separating the mind from lower thinkings, from thinkings that hinder the potential to not move forward. So that's the first one. We need to work on ourselves, in our mind, in enlightenment. The second one is what we call empowerment, or in Amharic, mabkat. That's when mind is enlightened, our hands must train. Everyone on the media, in social medias, also different NGOs say, we work on empowerment. Empowerment. Who you are empowering? Who youth have to be empowered? Because a youth or young person whose mind is not enlightened, but get opportunity to be empowered, will make a problem. We can see this from politics in Africa, where leaders have the power to make a change, but they are refusing to leave because they don't have direction. Their mind has not been enlightened. If your mind is enlightened, you know limits. No, I will be resigning from this year, because you have a direction, you have a destination to go, right? Otherwise, you will not have any limits. Second term, third term, constitution amendment, You can name it. So first, there must be a direction. That's about use enlightenment, what we spoke. And then we go to empowerment. If you know your direction, maybe it can be in terms of politics, engaging on bringing changes there, maybe in terms of community service. All of African users cannot be a president. All of African users cannot go to the palace and have a power to change. There are different spheres that users in Africa are needed. So after we clearly understand our direction, we need to go to empower our hands or skills. In the past 4 years of my college stay, I was having a number of online classes, short courses, before I graduated, because I need to empower my skill. I need to empower myself, my hands, before I start empowering other users. So empowerment is very important, which is holistic in terms. The last, not the least, is exposure. So if a person is enlightened, empowered, now it's time to give opportunities, what we call exposure, exposing the untapped potential of users, of Africans. So that's the last one. But most of the time, if you see, we miss orders. So every time when we get a mic to ask prime ministers or AU summits, we say, opportunity for use, opportunity. But what will be opportunity without direction? Opportunity without empowerment? It will be abuse, believe me. It will be abuse. That's why while we were kids, also when we see drug order from doctors, it says you have to distance this from children's. The medicine also serves for children's, but it says they will abuse it. So you need not to expose that medicine to themselves. They will make something that can heal to something that can kill because of lack of enlightenment, lack of empowerment. So exposure is the last thing that comes. You need to have a direction. You need to have enlightenment in your mind, why you are doing this, why you are here, what's the reason behind of looking to be diplomat, looking to be African patriot or something else, because we will find our very most reason on that. Because back in 10 years, I was planning to be a chef. I also one of the youngest chefs in Ethiopia. I just announced this. I didn't speak this often. Yeah, I represent my country in New York at the Institute of Culinary Education while I was in high school in age 40. My passion, my vision was all about cooking. But deep down, asking myself in prayer, taking time with God, and also why I'm doing this. Is this my direction? I come to conclusions that no, I'm not longer anymore chef, but I am a leader. So it comes from that. So if you get a time, if I give you a chance to ask yourself, most of you will not continue in what you are doing now, because there is a hidden intention and potential inside of you to be exposed. So the second one, as I mentioned, after I discovered that God has made me a leader and I am bored to make these changes, I start working on myself, even if I don't like it before. I start listening news, I start engaging in community service, volunteerism, name it. Also, this decision has changed my college stay. I choose to study global studies and international relations, which has not ever been in my dream in entire of my life, because I told you when I was in grade 9, I represent my country in cooking in one of the top culinary schools in Manhattan, New York. So you can see this. Then at the end of the day, I start exposing myself into different opportunities. So this is a second fundamental thing that we need to answer. The last not the least is global governance, how we can connect. I encourage you to join our social medias, connect to the world, because it's aimed to connecting young Africans and young Ethiopians to the world. We are very connected on TikTok, Facebook, but not really on UN system, not really on the global governance. Our voice is not heard. Opportunities doesn't go align with the current or with users that are in need. So that's the main aim and the reason why I found Connect to the World. So global governance, as we see, the today's world is very fragile and rapid in its nature. It's very dynamic. It's changing day to day, time to time, to the place where we ever know or imagined before. So when we see that today's global governance, three things are needed for African users to engage and to be heard by. The first one, understanding the system or understanding what's really happening. What's really happening in the US? What's really happening in China? What's really happening in Africa and in Middle East? Don't think that this is too vague. Don't think, because the world is on your hand. Globalization has brought the world into your hand. Last week I was in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, and it took me 3 days before I went there to organize the African Youth Forum, which is my second initiative, to launch in Abidjan, the Africa Youth Forum Abidjan chapter. We were also planning to say hi to our Nigerian friends, but we didn't get that. Next time we will do it. So, you know, it took 3 days. I was here in Addis and coordinating with UN officers there. And we went there after 3 days and the program held. So this comes after understanding the system and really what's happening in the world. The second one, after you understand getting to know that, you need to work on yourself. Guys, most of time we seek speaking stages, but we are afraid to speak. Yeah, check yourself, because I saw many people here that I want to speak, I want this upper, and after you give them, they will be shy. No, it's not possible. Time is very valuable, and you cannot miss that opportunity. So you need to work, you need to strengthen yourself so that you can be compatible in the global stage. In our last court 4, in navigating the African Union system, there were participants from US Arizona State. Imagine, we are giving class here, and there are participants in the US. There are a number of classes in the US. Believe me, it's not luck that attracted the person to join us. It is the value, it's the quality that we build that attracted a person from the US, from Europe, from different African countries. So you need to build a value, you need to build yourself so that you can have the race or the competition in a way that you can make a change. And lastly, I need to say that there must be always integrity in what you want to do and in what you have. Because most of time, after you understand the system, after you engage in global governance, we left the very first ambition. First, we have been very Pan-African and patriot, and then we will say, no, we need to make a deal. And we change our mind. We change where we start from. We forget where we come from, and we cannot help back our community. So in today's global system, there is a huge demand of young peoples in leadership, in policy advocacy, in SDG goals. As you know, it's 3 years left only to be engaged. But we need to really first understand the system, build ourselves, really build deep down in ourselves, and also be integrated or having that character of integrity. Because one thing that you have to know is the devil has much potential than any of us. But at the end of the day, it's a devil. It has been thrown down from the heaven, which is not needed anymore. So don't always seek to have the potential. Also work with your character. Because you might have the potential that's much bigger than the devil or from the world. But if you don't have that integrity, that good character, no one will look for you. So this will be my end message. I hope you got something from this, and we are happy to engage in future collaborations, also to support the program. Thank you so much. Don't forget to give the 4 spots. God bless you.
Wow, thank you so much, Baruch. God bless you so much for that impactful message. If we don't take anything away at all, enlightenment, empowerment, exposure. And enlightenment and empowerment will prepare you for the exposure you're looking for or the opportunities that are out there in the world. And so, you know, our African leaders, sometimes it hurts because these people are so exposed to how things are done in the Western world. But then what they fail to do, and I think that is something Baruch mentioned, that we must not forget where we come from. What our leaders fail to do is clearly they forget where they come from. And so they are exposed to the beautiful things, the innovations that are ongoing in the Western world. But what they fail to do is bring it down to our level. Whatever you learn there, let it extend to your country. So if you're a Ghanaian president, you learn something from Singapore. How is it impacting in your country? And so I think that as young change makers, as youth leaders, whether we are already in the space or up and coming, we must not forget where we come from. If we go out there to learn something from the Western world, as much as possible, let's calm down and let it reach the rest of the African continent. Thank you so much, Baruch, for that. And we will work on ourselves. We will really work on ourselves and put God at the center of all our endeavors. Thank you so much. All right, now we're ready for Naomi. For so many years, the West has shaped the African narrative for us through our movies, our music, our food, our culture. It almost looks as if we have acquired Western taste and forgotten our African roots. And so Naomi will be speaking on how we can reclaim our African narrative. Naomi Njemo from Cameroon, you are most welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dede. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm so happy and thrilled. Just a while ago, I was talking to David, and I was explaining to him the difficulties I encountered to be here with you guys. And I told him nothing can stop me. So, and I feel that that's the same spirit we share all in solidarity. We are Africans and we are made of steel. Right? So we are not ordinary people. We have what it takes. We have built resilience because of our system, because of our environment, and we are strong people. I'm so happy to be here with everyone. And yeah, I'm always excited when I'm called upon to talk to young minds. And such rooms like this, I want to tell you, you are privileged to be here, to have this mind-shifting conversation with people who have had wonderful experiences, groundbreaking experiences, and I believe that you are not going to be the same again. So I'm gonna just quickly, can I share my screen from my end or? Okay, great. So I'm just gonna quickly share my screen with you. I'm gonna bypass the introductions though. Okay, great. So if there's anything I want you to do within my session is I want you to focus. I want all your mind to be right here with me, because I'm going to be sharing with you my vulnerabilities as a leader who started in Cameroon, who faced so many difficulties, who faced both systematic problems and problems, with her environment, but I never for once allowed those things to stop me. So from voice to impact, I was asked by the ICHAD Project to talk on this. And before I begin, I want to say a big congratulations to the founder and visionary of this product. Okay, Davis, I tell you this all the time. Thank you for saying yes to this vision when others shrink. Thank you for daring and coming up with this vision. This is actually what Africa needs in a time like this. So big congratulations to the ICHAD Project, and I believe it has come to stay. So when I was asked to talk about this particular topic, I felt resonance within me, because this is actually my life story. And what I'll be sharing with you guys this afternoon, it's not what I read somewhere, it's a lived experience. And if I could have this experience and succeed, then it means you can, and you will succeed even greater than I have. This is how my story started. Now, there is this general conception that the West have of Africa, and this particular narrative has been projected through our screens, and it has infiltrated in our culture, it has infiltrated on how we think, and we feel that as young people, the system is strong enough to stop us. I'm here to tell you that there is no system, whether it's political systems, economic systems, lack of finance, you're coming from a poor background, you don't have parents, you have no one to sponsor you, you are in an environment that can't allow you to dream. You can dream, and you can become whatever you put your mind to it. It doesn't matter if the system goes against the work you have in your heart to do. It doesn't matter if your environment is not favorable. So long as your eyes can see Africa, you can become it. So this is back in 2017. I want to be very vulnerable right here. When I began my journey into advocacy, but mind you, I had begun long before 2017. Next month is actually going to make me 15 years in the advocacy space. When I started, I had no one tell me what to do. I had no one tell me your dreams were valid. In fact, I came from a family that wasn't it. I came from a background that, it took me time to accept where I came from, that I could really speak about my background in open spaces and not be ashamed of who I was. But there was something inside of me. There was a fire that couldn't be quenched. And there was a dream that was beckoning on answers. Dear Africa, I want to tell you, you don't have to start ready. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have the money of the world to start. And there is never going to be a right time for you to act on that dream. This was in 2017. I got in contact with a very good friend, De Adekoya Godwin. He also happens to be Nigerian. And we talked on the phone. This was when I was struggling to build up my organization, my youth community organization. It had no name, it had no reference, no one knew my name, no one knew what I was doing. But this person came across my work on social media. And this is what I want to say. The world may have painted a certain narrative of Africa, but you have the power to project your own narrative about your life. You have the power to allow the world see you for who you truly are. You have the power to allow the world to know you for who you want them to know you. And so this was back in 2017. I was so young back then. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I was so young. And when he told me, he said, I want us to have this conference virtually. And something within me was saying, no, I needed to have a cross-cultural experience. I want to go to Nigeria and see how it's done, but I didn't have the money. And this is one thing I want to share. The narrative of you not being better positioned or placed because you don't have money, because you don't have a supportive family, because you come from a family that is filled with so much trauma, and that trauma has reflected on your life, and you feel you are disadvantaged. You feel you cannot do what any other average African is doing. I want to tell you, if you're looking for someone who went from zero, I mean like zero, to where she is right now, you're looking at me. In 2017, without direction, without anything, I worked. I remember I did odd jobs, gathered money, and I went to Nigeria by road. So I'm in Cameroon. That was actually the very first time I was going to Nigeria. And my father was like, you're going to Nigeria? Who do you know in Nigeria? I said, I know no one, but I know that my vision beckons on me. And I took to the road. It was an endless journey. I reached Nigeria. My feet were swollen. I couldn't believe myself. But there was this priceless joy. And this brings me to say this. Guys, the reason why you're not doing what beckons on you to do is because you're not actually a dreamer. Because anybody who dreams, you're restless. There is this restlessness within you. Impact awaits you, and you're conscious of your role to achieving that particular impact. And there is nothing that gives you satisfaction than seeing it being done. So when I went to Nigeria, it was a wonderful time. I shared with my very good friend. I spoke to just 25 Nigerians. I left. This is crazy. When I tell people my story, they feel like, are you stupid? Are you crazy? I left Cameroon, went to Nigeria to talk to 25 people. Oh my God. Myself saying it out loud, I laugh. Because that's something the very average African won't even do. And you see this thing of not being normal. It's a very normal structure for people who have impact and leadership screaming within them. You have to be audacious. Where others shrink, you don't shrink. Where others shrink, you flap your wings and you fly. And you can never explore the extent of your audacity if you don't allow yourself to the experience that waits on you. If you don't allow yourself to engage in the things that you so much are afraid of. And so I'm here to tell you, I didn't have it all figured out from the very beginning. But here am I today, a multi-award-winning advocate. I've won so many awards. I don't even like saying them because sometimes when I say it, it's like, but it didn't start this way. It didn't start beautifully. It didn't start making sense. I started confused. I started with no direction. And I found my voice. And now this is what I want to talk about. Your voice is not the voice you use to speak. It's the voice that streams inside of you from the experiences you have had as a leader. So if you do not have the experience, if you do not have the exposure, like the speaker who was before me said, if you do not have the enlightenment, you do not have a voice. And trust me, when you find your voice and you own it, your voice becomes a pathway, giving you access to stages and platforms that you never dreamt of. But it has to begin from somewhere. Nature has a way of teaching us lessons, but sometimes we don't learn. A seed, no matter how great the produce from that seed will be, a seed is always small. A seed always has to be buried. A seed must die for the seed to rise up from its ashes like a phoenix. But the problem with Africa is we have the potential, we have the skill, we have the talent, but we've become so comfortable in the mess that we are in that daily we find reasons to remain there. Oh, it's because of the government policies in my country. Oh, it's because things are so difficult. The economy is hard. Oh, it's because there is never going to be a time in your life where everything is going to align. You need to wake up, you need to start, and you need to be engaged. Why does the African narrative matter? The African narrative matters because what people think of us is what we become in their eyes. For so long, the narrative has been repetitive. And for so long as Africans, we've asked ourselves so many questions that still beckons on answers. We've been at that position where we know we are the least developed continent of the world. But for over the years, for all these years, what are we doing about it? And someone I feel is asking in his mind, but I can't change Africa. Yes, you can't change Africa, but you can change your community. You can change that environment you find yourself in. You cannot wield influence in a system where your contribution cannot be traced. If you want access to the global stage, have excellence locally. If you want to be open to numerous opportunities on the global stage, adopt the attitude of excellence in your community while you're still functioning at the local level. And impact doesn't always have to be loud. It doesn't always have to be loud. I know of African youth, I know of Cameroonian youths who are doing tremendous work behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And my problem with this dispensation of African youths we have now is we have lost sight of what is important. We've shifted our gaze from the work that stares at us daily to the recognition that lies beyond. You want to be recognized. You want to be featured. You want to have awards. Yes, those things are good. But what would change the narrative of Africa is if every youth becomes conscious of what needs their presence. If every youth becomes conscious of what needs their actions. And someone asks me, Ma, how can I know what I'm made for? What can I know what I'm so good at? And I was sharing with a group of youth some day ago. I said, I'm a Christian, I love Jesus. And I told them the devil becomes wiser as the day goes. You know, before the problem of Africa used to be lack of information. The problem Africa is facing right now is no longer the limited access to education, because trust me, education is available for everybody. Information is available for everybody, and everyone is ensuring that these gaps are being filled. The actual problem that the average African is facing right now is the lack of self-identity in leadership. We easily gravitate to directions we idolize without sitting and asking our own selves, is this truly who I am? Is this truly what I want to do? Like the speaker who said before. Now, you see that every speaker who comes here keeps saying the same and the same thing. That's because the answer lies in all that we're sharing. There is no other truth beyond this. There is no other remedy beyond what we are sharing right now. You need to believe in yourself, and you need to know that you are enough. You have what it takes to make change, and position yourself in spaces like this. If ICHAD Project has so many other groups or projects or mini training programs, engage yourself in such spaces. And for you volunteers who are serving, this is another aspect we have shifted to the gutters, because we feel that relevancy comes on platforms of appreciation, on platforms of visibility. Relevancy comes when you serve. Servitude is the easiest means for you to become a leader who knows his voice and owns it. You need to learn to serve. The place of service has left the average African youth. And now we're talking about impact, and now we're talking about leadership. And most people think in order for you to lead, in order for you to create change, you have to have an organization. No, you can volunteer, you can serve, you can help. Let the spirit of Ubuntu that has once guided our actions and that has once held the center together as one, let it be restored. And when you allow yourself to service, you are unlocking certain portals within your personality that you never knew existed. You would have the experience, the personalized and individualistic experience that no one has ever had. And that experience becomes your voice. So when you stand to speak, you don't speak from an empty place. You speak as an African who has gotten him or herself dirty in the process of making his continent greater and better. Not from a place of an advantage, but from a place of real experiences. Young people are not the future. Young people are the now. Sometimes we used to think that the future is, oh, we are looking at the future from afar. We are going to get to the future. And sometimes to me, the concept of future bets procrastination. So you're always at this level aiming the future. The future is now. And as I wrap up, I'm not even going to follow my slides any longer. As I wrap up, I want to tell you guys that no one is coming to save us. We are the ones we have been waiting for. There is no external third party. There is no external leader. There is no external innovation that is going to come into Africa to make Africa better. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the future. We are the solution. It begins and it ends with us. We have all it takes. We have all we need to make Africa better. Our voices, they carry innovation. Our experience, they carry resilience. And our lives project hope. So even if we don't see the impact right now, guys, we are working so hard so that the next generation will take the baton from our hands. Do not fail the future of this continent. Do not fail God for endowing you with the talent and skill you have. And no matter how small and insignificant you think your talent is, the global picture of a puzzle can never be complete. Even if the smallest of pieces is missing, you are that piece. And so it's high time we wake up and become pathfinders and trailblazers. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to tell you the reality. This is the time to act. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time sharing my life's experiences with you. And over to you, Dede. Thank you.
Wow, Naomi. Oh my goodness. I could feel every bit of whatever you said. Thank you so much. We cannot fail the continent, changemakers. Changemakers across Africa, Senegal, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia. We cannot fail the continent, and definitely we cannot fail God. Wow. What an amazing, yes, I see. The African dream is here. We cannot fail. This is the reality. It is worth it. Thanks so much for this. Wow. The energy is fire. Thanks, Ma, for this awesome presentation. Thank you so much to our various speakers, Naomi, Biruk, Nana Beju, and Thanda. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing. I'm tempted to forego the panel discussion, but it's also very important. And so I would entreat you to drop your questions, whatever contributions you have, just leave it in the comment section. We'll read them out to the various panelists as we go on. We're going to have a 15-minute power-packed panel discussion with our amazing speakers, and then we will proceed with the show. And so if we are ready, I am ready. I know my panelists are also ready. Let's do this. All right. Now, my questions have stemmed from the various presentations that have come forth. And so I'm going to start with In Thunder, because she started, right? Now, In Thunder, I want to find out from you, looking at the world today, or looking at the African continent today, briefly tell us.
Yes.
Sorry,
Tanda is out. She's in another program.
She's out. Okay. All right. But I think this is a common question most of our speakers can speak to. So, speakers, the floor is yours for this question. Please answer it for us. Looking at the reality today, as Naomi put it, what skills should we arm ourselves with to move forward? Anyone can take the question and then answer it. What vital skills do we need as change makers for the African dream to become a reality? Naomi, would you take that for us?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Thank you so much, Dede, for that wonderful question. Yeah. That's a very relevant question, actually. So there are so many skills that you have to adopt in order to help Africa become what it is today. And now we have to understand that the concept of Africa here, we're not talking about a country, we are talking about the people. So when you look at it from this perspective of people, you have then to understand that you need to have good emotional intelligence skills, know how to communicate and relate with one another's emotions, whether at the local level within your community you're serving or on international or global stages and platforms. You also need industrialized, focused skills, like maybe soft and hard skills, like tech skills. You also need communication skills. You also need organizational skills and all that. But I want to be very practical while answering this question, especially when it has to do with building Africa. So we're talking now about leadership. We're talking now about advocacy. Now you need good communication skills. You need to have the power to know how to be able to own your story and how to communicate that particular story to bring in external stakeholders to help with your vision and make it grow. You also need very good leadership skills. Now, leadership is a very broad spectrum term. Under it, we have so many skills that you have to look at. You have to have good interpersonal skills. How do you relate with people? Some of us, we have different temperaments. And you may be choleric, and maybe you're working in your organization with someone who is a phlegmatic, and we know phlegmatics are naturally very slow. And as a choleric, sometimes you have this outburst of emotions. You need to understand that leading is not just having people do things when you want them to do it, how you want them to do it. Leadership is about allowing people become the best version of themselves while serving for a particular common goal. So you're captaining them, permit me use that word, I don't know if it's an English word. You're showing them what to do, but allow them be themselves while doing it. So you're not like a dictatorian or like an autocratic leader. One other last skill I'm just going to very much focus on is you have to have the skill of communication. Be very much able to communicate your vision. Be very much able to, because a lot of youth say we don't have money, so we are limited, we can't have projects, we can't do anything. Do you know that how you tell your story and narrative will compel stakeholders to invest in your vision? So that's something you need to learn, how to pitch your ideas, so all these soft skills, you can learn them in spaces like this, programs that ICHAD Project launches, you can learn them. And also in idea conferences like this, because it's actually an idea conference, you can also learn such skills from here. So there are actually so many that I don't want to take too much time, but leadership, advocacy, interpersonal, communication, emotional intelligence are skills that we should look out for.
Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you so much. That's leadership, communication, making use of platforms such as these. The ICHAD project is there. They train the youth in all of these areas. And so, dear African change makers, please make use of the ICHAD project. If you want to be part, reach out to the convener, OK Davids, and he will guide you through every single process to be part of the project. Now, Nana Beidu, you spoke about looking beyond the ballot, and you highlighted a very important area. You talked about the fact that Africa doesn't have a plan. And so my question to you is, what should the African plan look like? Because as change makers, we have to draw inspiration. Biruk mentioned that you should have foresight. You should know where you are headed, right? And so if as change makers, we know where we are headed, it can also inform the personal decisions that we make in achieving the African dream. So briefly tell us, what should the African plan look like?
So I would say the African plan is something that we Africans have to sit down and know what exactly do we want. Because it looks like most of us as youth, right from childhood, we've been kind of brainwashed to see that the good things of the world is like the Americans, to see the skyscrapers and to see this. But when you get into the system, their system, you realize, no, it's not even healthy to live in. And back home, back on the African continent, the foods we eat, the environment, the community, how we live is the best, right? But there should be a proper way for us to do our things. So to me, I know Africa has two problems. That is why I'm fighting my possible best for us to solve is the system problem and the people problem. We have a problem with the mindset and also the system. But my problem now is because I've tried, whatever I say is something that I've tried within a community base, right? We are still working on projects. I don't want them to come out. We are working on it for everything to come out before we say it. It's like a whole community. We are trying to transform them. It's like a case study. We are doing that. Now, what I'm trying to say is we've tried the system problem, trying to solve the system problem without not targeting the people problem. That's the mindset problem, and it didn't work. So now we are trying to focus on the people problem, trying to work on their mindset and also enable them in terms of jobs and work, and see if they can sustain the community we are building. If that is able to happen, then we can expand it on the whole continent.
Wow.
So that is something, yes. But this is something I've been working on, I've been praying on, and it's not me alone. We have leaders, like good leaders, even in Nigeria, even when it comes to the religious side, some pastors who are also involved. That we are trying to see this. If it works, at least we can expand it little by little. It's more or less like we getting to understand that the political system on the African continent is really not something that is going to help us. Those 4 years is not going to help us. If it's going to help us, unless there is a default framework that if Amma or if Kofi or if Abu is going to be president, no matter what, Abu has to go by this. He has to build this infrastructure, and right from there, we will move on. Right. So the African, plan is not something I'm doing alone. It's a collective vision that we all coming together to build, but we are trying to start from somewhere. But the key people I'm still working on that we can't neglect them is the diaspora. It's the diaspora, because whatever we are doing involves a lot of money, and the diaspora and now is so. I wouldn't say it's sad, but here comes now the diaspora. I've seen the need for them to come back home, but it looks like those homes, we are still saying home is not good. We want to leave. But it's time we are trying to do the education for the people back home to know, look at wherever you are now is good. We just have to make it really like best, right? Yeah. I also want to use, I don't know if the person sent it to me personally or something. Somebody sent a question in relation to
a question for you. He says, it is time for the youth to lead, but using Nigeria as a case study, godfatherism still seems deeply rooted in politics. If godfatherism cannot be eradicated, how can the youth truly lead in politics?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. That question is good. I'm going to make it so practical for everyone to understand. Now, because of where we have gotten to in our politics on the African continent, is a time for we to get close to them. When we get close to them, don't go and say, this is not good, this is not, no. When you get close to them, more you suggest to them, initial stage, they're not going to pick. Along the line, they will pick. And along the line, you also get a position. But make sure when you get a position, you don't practice what you do. I'm praying for one leader I know. Those in Nigeria, Lagos. Before Babangide Sanwo-Olu, there was Ambode. Now, all these people succumb, or how should I put it, to the current president. I'm trying to speak, but I don't want to go straight. But those who understand what I'm saying understand, right? And it's all about this. What was the question? It's all about this godfatherism. I know the guy that left did something. I know I'm cool with their family, so I know like whatever it's in there. But it's all about this whole godfatherism, loyalty, and all that. But what we want now is, can the person still do the job? And I believe the current guy there now is doing well. So with me, I'm cool with him, Baba. I'm referring to the current governor of Lagos, the Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I hope I'm correct. Yes, so godfatherism is, for now, we can't despise it. Just go with the flow, but along the line. And it's always good to learn the good things from them. See, they have good things. The leaders, they are doing something. When you get close, they are doing something. There's one thing I have realized. See, when you are beneath the mountain, your viewpoint is different. When you're on the mountain top, your viewpoint is different. Let's stop complaining and sometimes critically sit down and think about it and analyze it. If it was to be you in that position, if it was to be you in that Senate, what would you have done? And even in this moment, whilst you've not gotten such positions, try and sit down and think and write things down, how you would love to do it, how you would love to solve it. Don't be in haste to judge. Do not be in haste. Because up there, there's a whole lot of things hitting them from various angles that you don't know. They are imperialists trying to attack them on the good things they are doing. Some of them, right from the initial stages, they join several fraternities and they are also hunting them. You don't know. And it's not everything some of us can say. But all what I can tell you is life is spiritual. If you truly want to go far, build your spiritual capacity, because things happen in the spiritual before they happens in the physical. That's the honest truth I can tell you. So please, in as much as this God and this whole Godfather thing, some of you, when you get more into it, you will know. They will try and let you know this is my source. If you want to follow me, if you want me to be your Godfather, you have to use my channel. I'm trying to speak so those who get it get. So it's best for you to choose a Godfather that aligns with your faith and you move with them. But through it all, if you're a Christian, pray well. If you're Muslim, pray well, because life is spiritual. This world is a spiritual world. Whatever happens in the physical always take place already in the spiritual. When I was getting in this a little story, when I was getting in politics, I didn't understand why we have to make key decisions in Ghana. You guys on key decisions in Ghana mostly made at night, and not only in Ghana, it was almost all across. We will go for a place for a meeting. They'll tell us to wait. You start by 11 p.m. Why? I didn't understand some things, but as far as I'm growing, by God's grace, I'm getting, okay. Life is spiritual. Those that are even in the World Bank, when you get there, you get to understand money. There are spirit backing money. There are some logos, there are some emblems at the World Bank in DC here. You wouldn't understand, but if you are spiritual, you get to understand. So if you truly want to go far, build your spiritual capacity, no matter what. It's fine. You're going through some struggles now, but build your spiritual capacity because you will go through it. That's why you're still alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Build your spiritual capacity, and the African plan requires that we work on our mindset first before anything. Thank you so much, Nana. Now, I would ask Aisatu, because there's a question in the comment section for her. Aisatu, I asked you earlier to ponder over this. Do you think that the youth of today are more money inclined than impact oriented? And if it is so, how do we deal with this canker and not think about money first before anything, but we think about the impact that we have been called to make in the world? Then we can answer the question from one of our participants.
Thank you, Didi, for the question, and thanks for the participant for the great question. So, I wouldn't say that young people now are more money inclined, but I think that, I'm sorry, there's a lot of construction around me, so I'm going to try to speak louder. I think that there's this perception that without money, you're going to do anything. And that's the shift that I want to emphasize on and help you change that. You need, at some point in your project, initiative, whatever, you always need money, especially if you want to scale up. What I'm saying is that you don't need it to start, and it shouldn't stop you from starting. So resources, it can be non-financial, it can be financial. When you look at the non-financial, you are your own resource. So when you have an idea, you need to identify, first of all, what are my skills? Okay. And is it aligned with where I want to go? Once it's aligned, then you can identify what can I do myself and what is the gap, and how can I find other people, expertise, support, skills enhancement, whatever, to get to that point. So it's always about identifying, making a whole diagnostic of of who you are, what you're able to do, what's your passion, and then what are the gaps. And this is how now you can start, developing your project and identifying resources. And those resources, as I said, it can be expertise from someone, a mentor. It can be just you coming to this conference, getting inspired, to take action, or networking with someone from another country, so there's a lot of small things that don't need money. It just needs your time and your determination. So the courage without the momentum doesn't make any sense. So you have the courage. It's the first step to test your idea. So I hope you just respond to that question in the chat about the person saying that resources are essential, which they are, but I was like, just to clarify my point, you don't need them, financial at least, to start your project. And you'll see that there's a lot of people who have a lot of money. They do start project, they inject millions, and it's not working. So it's not about the money, it's about where are you going? What's your value added? Do you have the skill sets? If not, have you recruited them, etc., etc. So this is essential. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisatu. If Biruk is on, Biruk, this is I'm sure you'll be able to help us with it. Yesterday we had the Mental Health Authority on our morning show, and he made some profound statements. He says that because we have resources in abundance, it looks as if we are not using our brains. We have become very comfortable, unlike countries like Singapore who do not have resources, and so they have to use their brains to crack the code and come up with ways and means to make sure that they achieve success. Do you think that our resources that we have in abundance on the African continent has made us comfortable and not willing to use our minds, or, like you said, our brains to achieve success?
I don't think Biruk is in the call, actually.
He's not on the call. Okay. But can any panelist help us with this question? Because it's very important.
Is a question in the comments, or it's not there because I'm there in the
yeah, there's a question here too. Okay, so while you put your thoughts together, it says it's for all panelists. I don't know for other African countries, but there's a trait I've noticed here in Nigeria. It's usually a blessing, but in our case, I think it's a curse. Negative adaptability. We adapt easily to situations we shouldn't, and because of that, we don't take things serious as they are, and hence the bad leadership and lack of development in our country and on the continent. How do we churn out a large number of youth to refuse to adapt to a system that deprives them of their place and voice, and uphold our place as stakeholders, rather than a demographic with potential? Because it starts with one, but it needs a crowd to work. So how do we deal with the negative adaptability situation in Nigeria? And I believe partially it's in other countries as well.
I believe it's in most of the African
on the
countries.
continent.
That's
Yeah,
for my visit on most of the countries. I truly want to answer this question in this way, right? It's my view, and through my experience and in life, that it's not from individual basis, like you as an individual, right? When I was starting my whole conversation, my initial, I said something about you have to list down your purpose and your vision. Now, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. So if it's bad because you don't have anywhere to go, you will sit in it. and you will not. And the human brain is trained in a way where if you are in something for a long time, you normalize it, becomes okay for you. But if you have a purpose, if you have a structured down purpose, and you're heading towards somewhere, right, you'll go through it. And that negative thing or whatever, you won't adapt, but you'll go through it. Right. I'm saying this like for individual basis, but if we are all able to practice this, whatever bad thing it is, we will be able to overcome it. Yes, governance system, let's be real here. In back, maybe in Nigeria, governance system is not okay. But we all in a particular community, you have your individual visions and goals. But collectively, we know we are trying to solve something. We will be able to do it. We will be able to do it. It's going to be tough, but we'll be able to do it. It's time where we all have to, we love to do things in silos. And if you are here like that, stop. Whatever you are trying to do, there is someone also trying to do same. Find a person and work it out with the person, or share your visions, and let's see how we can all do it together. You can't do it alone. That's not how God created us. He created us to help one another, so we can all do it together. The African vision, the Africa we want, you can't do it. You alone can't do it. Now, even if you're saying whatever I'm saying is wrong, just look at Aliko Dangote. Look at how he's doing. He's going to list an IPO. All what he's trying to tell you is bring your money and let's put it in the business and let me give you your share. That is it. That is it. So what I'm trying to say is, with the question you asked, wherever you are, whoever you are, try and share your visions. Find people that align with your vision, and let's start with it. Yes, if you don't have a vision, you will normalize yourself and just stick with the negative things. But if you know you have a vision, you have a purpose, you will sit in Kekena peps, but you have a foresight. You know where you are going. So you know you won't always sit in it. That is it. But if you live by any normal person, that is not going to help you. I believe that it will make sense. So I know I might not be able to answer everything, but with that for the first question, yeah. And the second one,
Another question, and that will be the last one. Says, my question is for Mr. Bedu. He said we are created for a purpose. So I want to know how we can identify our purpose in
before
whichever
that there is
community we find ourselves.
Not to cut you off, before that I said there is my question from
okay.
Transformative
There's
leadership.
another one for you.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone striving to maintain integrity, especially in a country like Nigeria, where the system can sometimes be challenging?
The person should, because of the time, I want you to go study this same person on your calendar, Cosmos Zimaduka. I was with him 3 years ago in Nigeria, and his story, Cosmos Maduka and Stanley Zizukwe. Dr. Stanley, what's Dr. Stanley's full name? We have people in Nigeria. See, I'm a Ghanaian. Most of my mentors are Nigerian. Let me be honest with you. I spend most of my time, whatever I do, are Nigerians. Nigeria, you guys have the best people all around, like in all spheres of life. In photography, the best photographer, Tolani. I was with Tolani from the World Bank. I don't know if you guys know Tolani. Tolani was a former photographer for Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. Now she's the special photographer for the president of the World Bank. That's a lady, a Nigerian lady. Right? So you have a lot. See, let me be honest. Last year, Tolani Ali, that's correct. Last year, World Bank, I was moving with the Nigerian and tried and all that. We had a meeting at the Nigerian, is it the Niger House or something in New York? And please get close to the youth. I don't know the exact name of the ministry, the youth and development. You guys are doing extremely well. I don't know if, I believe whatever they share there is right. So get close to them and know. I know you now have access to online learning platforms. They've partnered with Microsoft. They've partnered with AWS and all that. Now Nigerians, you have access to it for free. If you don't know, I'm telling you, Google it and start learning it. Ghanaians don't have this. I'm trying my possible best to also do something, work out with the government so they can get something from Microsoft like that. But if you don't know it, Google it and look for it. It's out there. And let me try and answer the guy's question. When it comes to transformative leadership, it takes time, but it's good to start. And everyone is not going to go into politics. No. Everyone is not going to go into politics. But what I'm trying to say is the next generation of political leaders should be people that will come in with their own resources, their own money, so they will be able to make the change effectively. The times of people coming to bribe us for us to vote for them is going. It's going. It hurts me. The past elections, I saw something like that in Nigeria, which I didn't really like it, but it's fine. The youth are now getting to understand the politics so well. They won't now let someone give them maybe 10,000 naira or something. They vote for them, and they won't be able to be effective. To my own view, look at Professor Yemi Oshibanjo and your current, when it comes to like the outside world, when it comes to the international bodies, like how this man, the former vice president, he's able to speak, he's able to, lobby for things for the country. But when it comes to politically, they'll tell you because you're not politically corrupt, there are some positions you can't get. And truly, I saw that in Nigeria. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't be doing that. We should do well to build ourselves integrity-wise and say this is a good thing. Let's all go for the good thing. And that's what I believe God is, positioning us as a continent and letting Nigeria as a country lead us. I know God is positioning the whole of Africa. Nigerians are the one leading for now. Please do not lose it. Keep it for us so we all will follow. All right. Thank you.
Okay. And the other question says, how can we... So I want to know how we can identify our purpose in whichever community we find ourselves.
Oh God, I would love the person to read a book by Dr. Miles Monroe's on purpose. It's not purpose-driven life is requiring. What was the name of this book I read some years back? Hold on. I'll look for a book for the person to read. The person can reach out to Mr. OK. So even if I have to buy it for you, I'll buy it for you, then you read it. So you can send your number or something to him. But I'll look for the book. I think you'll get the PDF, but I'll purposely buy the book for that person. The Principles and Power of Vision. The Principles and Power of Vision by Dr. Miles Monroe. The Principles. The Principles and Power of Vision. So that person should share his or her contact. So I get it and we see how we can do it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
It's good to ask questions. It's good to ask questions.
Is the final question, and then we call it a conference, a successful one at that. What is the difference between vision and purpose?
Should I go ahead with this now?
And how can someone who isn't self-motivated help? So what can you say to help someone who isn't self-motivated?
So I have two questions. Let me go to the questions, boss, and see the questions coming through. So a plan, purpose, pursuit, connect with. Yeah, I have the first person that asks of the how to identify his purpose. I don't know if you can share your details here or your contact, or maybe you can go through Mr. OK. So I'm gonna get you guys some books to read. There are some things, even if I explain it now, it requires you going through the book. So it helps. Dr. Miles Monroe's book on that really helped me, and it's still helping me day in and day out. I keep reading it. The Principles and Power of Vision. Keys to achieving your personal purpose or vision or corporate something. So 2 or 3 people have asked the question. I want you to do it now. Hopefully, max by Monday, Tuesday, then you get the book. So I don't know how. Yeah. So let's do it that way. I don't want to talk as talk plenty. There are some things I can explain it to you now, but you have to read and understand. And through the reading, the Lord will speak to you, the Holy Spirit will speak to you. Then out of it, you'll be able to get your purpose. You're able to, have your vision, your purpose. And some of you've been seeing your visions and all that, but you don't know. You see it in your mind, eye, and all that. But you don't know because you don't know. But there's a need for you to learn and know, so you can go ahead with that.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Nana, for answering those questions. That will be the last.
But let me know the number of people so I know how I can, then their name. I don't know how you're going to coordinate them. So if it's like 3 or 4 people, then we see how
Okay,
I
so
can do that for them.
Aziz can help us with that. Aziz, help us with the number of people who asked questions on purpose, and let's get them to Nana to sort that out. All right. Thank you so much, Aziz. Thank you so much to my amazing panelists, Nana Beidu, Naomi, Biruk. Amazing. It's been an amazing session. I don't even know what to say. We've talked. We've said it all. Now the onus lies on us to work. And so, and I know that whatever we've had here today is something that we will carry along as we journey through the pursuit of success. And so, okay, can you unmute and give us your closing remarks? And then we can call it a wrap.
Hi, everyone. Please put a 1 in the chat box if you can hear me loud and clear. Wake up. The ICHAD Youth, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. It's been very inspiring. And the question on purpose, Jay Martins, I'm sure you were not in the catch-up session we had. But if you were there, you're still asking this purpose, you will repeat navigate. So you report to Aziz because we've talked about this before, but it's good you mentioned it again. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I just want to say something that if your only purpose on earth is to make money, you have failed already. Now, we talk about this a lot in the community, so I think it's not new to our guys in the ICHAD Youth community. If your purpose is to come and if the only thing you have, if you can do everything by yourself as a human being, you are poor. It doesn't matter the amount of money you have. If people can't look at you and just bless you, if you can't look beyond what you have, if you can't be an outreach to people. So your purpose on earth is number 1, you don't do life alone. If you're in the ICHAD community, I think Nana said that earlier. We're not wired to do life alone naturally, by design. But because of where we found ourselves now, we don't want to go into the mental health part of things. That's why we see what we did. So I just want to say that we were created for a purpose. You see the Microsoft, they started with Windows XP, Windows 97. They are upgrading every year. How much more the person that created you? You think you just fell from heaven? Or you think your purpose is just come and make money here? There's nowhere in your Bible, in your Quran, that your purpose is to come and make money primarily. If you find that, come in for a debate. There's nowhere to get married. There's nowhere primarily that the purpose for your existence is to get married. No, those things are add-on. There's something that you have been called to do. Primarily, it must be an outreach. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for this amazing session because we are stirred. And as a matter of fact, we're going to do this again. We're going to continue this conversation. It's important that we begin to see the Africa that we want. It's important that we begin to imagine the Africa that we want. First of all, it starts with the mindset, like Biruk mentioned. So I want to thank you, Nana. Thank you. Nana is currently in, this is your 6 a.m., currently in North Carolina.
Yeah,
thank you for joining. And Thanda too is, I think, her own morning too. And you guys did an amazing job. Thank you, Aisha. Love you. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Biruk. Thank you for everyone that showed up. And thank you to our participants. Thank you for being here. Reverend Ada, thank you so much for being here since we started. And our board members, I want to say thank you. We'll continue the conversation. And the members of my community, the ICHAD Youth community, thank you. We'll continue this conversation. So I'm going to tie all this up in our catch-up session. So one of the catch-up session, I'm going to tie all the topics up together in 30 minutes, 1 hour. Then we will end up. So thank you, Dede. Thank you for your for the amazing job you've done. Love you. Thank you so much. And everyone have a lovely evening. So I'm going to call on Aziz Bada. I think he has some announcements concerning our Navigate program. Please, just 5 minutes, then we're out of this place. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, Aziz.
All right. Thank you, Mr. David. Thank you. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. All right, great, perfect. Amazing. It has been a wonderful, knowledge-packed and insightful conversation so far, but we will not end it there. Like one of our speakers mentioned, we have to move from voice to impact. We have to walk the talk. And in doing that, it is my honor to present to you Project Navigate. So Project Navigate is ICHAD's Mentorship Academy, and we are launching the 6th cohort in the month of August this year. So this is me inviting you to come on board, join this workshop. The Mentorship Academy will be held virtually online and will run for 6 weeks. Every Saturday in the 6 weeks, we have mentorship session where we bring expert facilitators, young people like you and I, to come speak on important topics needed for young persons, adolescents, young adults to understand who they are, to know themselves. Topics like essential life skills, networking, identity, goal setting, decision making, relationship, and likes. And from Monday to Friday, the participants are divided into groups that we call tribes. Within these tribes, they are assigned mentors, and these mentors guide them on different tasks and assignments and projects that they will work on together to develop skills in other areas like leadership and community building. So it is an important program that you do not want to miss.